What's up guys, I'm here with Cameron and this is his 2018 Volkswagen Golf GTI. It's a super cool modified car, so let's go ahead and jump in this video and check it out. One could say that the Golf GTI is the McGriddle of the car world, performing a multitude of tasks well, but perfect at none. In this video, we're going to meet my good friend Cameron in his 2018 Golf GTI and explain why I believe it's the quintessential car for just about everyone. Cameron's car is slightly modified to best fit his lifestyle, including an APR Stage 1 ECU tune and TCU tune. The car also has a cargo box and OEM Audi wheels that make the car stand out without being an immature appearance. I know, he's pretty weird, right? He told me the wheels were steel, but I honestly think he just stole them off of someone's Audi. Let's introduce you to Cameron, who's going to be a future high school teacher that spends most of his time researching modern cars that don't get the coverage they deserve. No, I mean really. Ask him the most random question about the most random car and he'll have an answer for you. My name is Nikolai. I like to film and build cool cars. If you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so you stay up to date. We're gonna learn a whole lot about cars and see some pretty cool stuff. Let's jump into the video. What's up guys, so we're here with Cam and we're gonna be checking out his Golf GTI. So Cameron, go ahead and tell us everything about the car.
Okay, so it is a 2018 Volkswagen Golf GTI. I purchased it in June of 2018, which is a little over 3 years ago now. It has about 66,000 miles on it now. It is my daily driver and only personal car. I am in love with the car. It has been a pleasure to own. A couple things I've done to it. First, as you can see, Nikolai criticizes me for this a lot, but I have 18-inch Audi S3 wheels on it. The only reason I have those is because I did get a very good deal on them, as well as tires, so I think they look kind of nice too. I'm not a huge fan of the stock Austins that came on the car, so I think they're a nice little addition. It does have an APR Stage 1 ECU and TCU tune. I'm not sure what it puts to the wheels, but at the crank about 320 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque on 93 octane fuel. Favorite things I've done to the car is the cargo box. I know that makes me sound like a Subaru Outback owner, but I really do enjoy this thing. It's great for traveling and it looks kind of cool. So these are actually not stock headlights. This is just the GTI base S model, the base one. So these headlights actually, I think are BEC LED, I didn't get HID headlights.
It looks really interesting. I really do love what you have done with the car. Like, you know, I always make fun of Cam for the Audi wheels on the Volkswagen. But you know, at the end of the day, it's really cool because you never see that type of stuff on any other car.
So the wheels actually, these things, the center caps, I've tried finding Volkswagen ones and they do exist, but they're so hard to find in stock anywhere and I have to order them from overseas and I'm unsure about that. I don't know if they'll ever arrive. So for now, they're just gonna stay on there.
You know what? It actually looks cool. Like having the Audi logo on the Volkswagen, it's quite a cool
I mean, at
look.
least they're not like BMW wheels or something. It is in the Volkswagen family, so.
Sure. So, you know, kind of, how does the car feel? How's it been treating you? Because you mentioned this is your only car. So from like a daily driver standpoint, you know, you've got the modifications on the car. You've, you know, done some few things like the tune. How does it feel as a daily driver? Does it feel any worse now that you've modified it a little bit?
Absolutely not.
Really?
If anything, and I don't know if any of you have heard this, you probably have, the tune has actually helped my fuel economy. I receive probably 2 to 3 more miles per gallon with the Stage 1 tune. I haven't had any issues. It's not jerky or anything. You only feel the power if you want to. And that's what I love about the GTI. It's a fun car, but it can do everything else you need it to very simply with no issue.
Nice.
So I don't think it's a master of any trade, but it's a jack of all of them.
Nice, nice. It's really cool because, you know, being a hatchback, if you need it to be a daily driver that stores a lot of things, has a nice comfortable back seat, it has all of that, but then it also has a lot of power and it's a very fun car. And even with the transmission, so like what transmission is this?
So I have the 6-speed dual clutch automatic in this car, DSG. So this is a 2018, so this was the first year of the Mark 7.5 facelift in the United States. I'm not sure if it was the same case everywhere, but this is a 6-speed. For 2019, importantly, it came with a 7-speed, but this is the 6-speed. I've heard some people complain about the 7-speed. It's not quite as unique or it doesn't have quite the same, like, as they say, DSG farts. So this is the 6-speed, phenomenal transmission.
Nice.
I have had no issues with it. The only maintenance I've really had to do with it is every 40,000 miles, you have to get a DSG service on it. Now, it sounds like a lot at first, but think, every 40,000 miles, which is about 2.5 years for me, it's worth it for this transmission.
Nice. It's really cool because, you know, the DSG in this car really makes it a fun driving experience. Yes, if you have a manual, it's probably going to be more fun, but even with it being, you know, the automatic DSG, it's still a very fast shifting transmission, like one of the fastest, you know, in this price
It is very
range.
fast.
Yeah.
I have no regrets whatsoever. It is great for this car. I'm not sure if it would be as good in something like a Tiguan, which I believe did used to have the DSG in the United States, but it does no longer. It's good for a fun car. I don't think I'd want it in a normal car or an SUV or something, because I've heard it causes issues with towing. But in this car, I have no complaints about it at all. Just a side note though, if you ever drive one around 25 miles an hour and under, it does feel a little like weird.
Is it jolty?
Just a little.
Okay.
And I was unsure about it at first when I drove the car. I was thinking, oh God, something's wrong with it. Thank God it's got a warranty on it. But no, that's just something to do with DSG. The engine performs best, or I mean the transmission performs best at, you know, fuller throttle, I think.
Really?
Just puddling on a parking lot, you know, you don't really see the benefits of having a DSG.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you know, you do have those benefits, so there's pros and cons to everything. You know, when you're driving it, you know, at lower speed, it probably might be a little bit more jolty than like a traditional...
Which you'll see today.
Yeah, we'll drive it and we'll be able to see all of that. But, you know, at lower speeds, it might be a little bit more jolty, but when you're really going on it and you're really having, you know, performance drive with it, it really feels like a solid transmission. And, you know, just the Golf in general, like, you know, with this being the GTI model, it is a more performance version. Not all the way to the Golf R, but the GTI still has pretty much everything performance-wise that you would want. And, you know, it's just a really good-looking car. I love these Volkswagens. They're really beautiful, you know, especially with, like, the minor mods you've done. It's like an OEM Plus setup.
That's exactly what I was going for.
And that's what you have.
I mean, that's what I love about it. You know, it's not insanely aftermarket. I haven't put a ton of money into it. But I love the look. You know, it's nothing too crazy, but it still gets looks here and there.
Yeah, it definitely stands out. You know, especially with your ski box and all the stickers on the back. You've got
and by the way, to clarify, I do use this thing. It's not just for looks. It's packed full of stuff. Last year when quarantine was going on, it did store some toilet paper, if we're being honest.
Nice, nice. I mean, yeah, everyone was looking for toilet paper at the time, but it's really funny. So Cam, go ahead and tell us about the engine on this car, you know, just generally speaking about the engine on this car, and then kind of how yours is with, you know, all your mods.
So the engine on this car is the 2-liter turbocharged EA888 Generation 3 engine. Volkswagen's been using this engine for about, I don't know, 15, 16 years now. So it's tried and true. It's been around a while. As has the transmission. I mean, they've of course, you know, improved it over time, but generally since the Mark V, it's been, you know, a 2-liter turbocharged engine with a 6-speed dual clutch automatic, of course, until 2019. So great engine so far. I've had no major issues, or really any that I can think of with it. Actually, Nikolai, yesterday I had to do a little maintenance on the car. It needed a new battery.
Wow.
So yeah, that was $200, but
okay.
You know, 66,000 miles, I can't complain about that.
Yeah,
I needed
so
one.
It seems like it's been fairly reliable.
It's been fairly reliable, and you know, this is completely antithetical to any reason to buy a Volkswagen, but I bought it for one reason, because it had a great warranty on it.
Yeah.
Basically, after Dieselgate happened in 2015, 2016, that time period, Volkswagen needed to kiss up to owners and to prospective owners. So what they did was they started selling these in 2018 with a 6-year, 72,000 mile warranty.
That's awesome.
And listen, I love this car, but Volkswagen is not known for their stellar reliability.
But it's interesting though, because they're not known for it, but it seems like it has been
thus far. The warranty was definitely one reason, you know, I bought the car. So, you know, even if it is a little risky, I haven't had any issues with it, but you do have that coverage.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, I've had no issues with the engine. I think it performs quite well. I don't find any turbo lag really at all. My family used to have a 2017 Land Rover Discovery Sport with a 9-speed automatic, and I kid you not, the turbo lag was like a 1980s turbocharged car.
Really?
Which, in retrospect, it was kind of cool because it had that like old-timey feeling to it, but this thing, driving that to this is just no comparison.
I bet the technology in this thing is just amazing. Like, it's probably way ahead of its time.
To some extent. You know, like I said, Volkswagen's been using the same engine pretty much for a while, but it works. You know, they don't want it to, I think, matter of fact, for the Mark 8, they're actually using a Gen 4 engine with a little more power.
Well, it's a tried and true formula.
Exactly. Why change it?
It works, it makes power, it's fun to drive. I enjoy it. You know, I don't think there's really any reason to change it.
And, you know, of course, you know, the one downside of a GTI versus Golf R is it's only front wheel drive. Now, living here, of course, in Savannah, that's not a huge deal, and we don't encounter a lot of, you know, terribly bad weather. And I have heard from people, you know, who live up north and Pacific Northwest that do encounter snow, that with a GTI and winter tires, you should be fine. But I don't ever plan on encountering that issue, so front wheel drive is just fine. You do get a little bit of wheel hop and, you know, just a bit of a jolt when you launch it. But fun fact, I have not launched this car since having it tuned. So.
Well, we're gonna figure out how that works.
And Nikolai would like to do that today, then he has the honors.
Yeah, we're gonna beat on this thing. It's gonna be super cool, you know, with the tune, and I love these things, man. Like Golfs are such a like simplistic but just well-made car. Like they're so simple in their design, but they look amazing. Like they don't have anything that really stands out to make them. Like for example, the Honda Civic Type R, that type of car is like a really good competitor to like maybe like more so the Golf R, but. Even the Civic Si, those cars have some like design characteristics to them, like where it's, it might just be a little bit too much. Like, you know, the big wing on the Type R, it might just be a little bit too much, you know, for people looking for more so like a subtle car, something that's not so aggressive.
It's German at the end of the day, and Germans just aren't about, you know, anything too wild.
Well, they don't want anything that stands out. They just want something that works, something that looks good, it drives well, it's comfortable, and that's really what
function over form.
Exactly. So Cam, tell me, what actually got you into cars?
I was an only child, and when I was probably maybe 1-2 years old, my grandmother ran a daycare, and I would stand up in the window and just watch cars drive by. So my first word was actually trash truck. So from a young age, I was always interested in cars, and my family, we own 2 German cars and a Japanese car now, but it used to be only American cars. So I would go to like dealerships like Coastal Chevrolet growing up, which is defunct now, but I'd go in there, and I remember like when the Chevrolet SSR came out, the C6 Corvette, things like that, I'd sit in them, I'd read about them, and just become deeply invested in them. So it's been a thing for a while. So I was very excited to turn 16, but this was not my first car by any means.
So what was your first car?
It was actually a 2007 Honda Element SC.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was my first car. And then when I was 18, about a month or so after graduating high school, I bought this. I worked at a local restaurant, and then I got a job at a movie theater, which I've been at since while I've been in college, and that's sort of, you know, what helped me propel myself to buy this. So,
that's awesome, man. I'm super proud of you, dude. I think it's so cool to be able to work for the car and, you know, really, you know, just kind of, you know what you want and you work for it, and, you know, here it is. Literally, like, it's so cool that you go from having this vision to wanting this car to now working for it, and then here it is right in front of you. It's so cool. It only takes a few years, but, you know.
Yeah, because keep in mind, this car, the wheels I've only had since in the middle of last year. Headlights I just got in January. The box I have had a while. I got that the year I got the car.
Well, that's what makes you stand out. Everyone knows if you see Cam on the street and you see that box, that's definitely you.
And the multitude of stickers. But
yeah, you got a whole bunch of stickers. Is there any like significance behind those stickers?
So I've always been a big fan of stickers. Back, you know, to my Honda Element, I always loved stickers. I thought they were a way to make a car stand out, and, you know, sort of show off your interests. And I do have some. I admit I'm not the most interesting guy, but, you know, I like to travel, so anywhere I go, I try to find a sticker.
It's so cool how you got all those stickers, and it's just a very, very unique car. You know, it's a simplistic build, but I definitely enjoy, you know, cars like this because they show character. You know, it shows kind of who you are, because I feel like cars, you know, if you kind of, you know, don't look at money more so and just kind of like what you've done to the car, like no matter what car it is, just what you've done to it and kind of the things you have done to it, like stickers, you know, a ski box, like Audi wheels, all these things really, you know, show your character. And I think it's just so cool that you can kind of express yourself through your car, which, I mean, that's at least how I do it with mine. And I think most people definitely show some expression of themselves through their car, which is super cool. Not in all cases, but us as car guys, it's cool how we're able to, you know, modify our cars exactly how we want it, because, you know, it's our cars. We can do whatever we want to them, which is a really cool thing.
I mean, granted, I've gotten some criticism, you know, like Nikolai for the wheels at first was like, why do you have Audi wheels on the car? Well, you know, I love the wheels and I could not turn down the deal. It was a phenomenal deal. But yeah, you know, and people say, oh, why do you have the box on here? You know, It's worse for your fuel economy. It doesn't look good. I enjoy it, you know, and look at it like this. I have to carry a lot of stuff around. I travel a lot, and I'd much rather have this with that than an SUV. So
for sure. I mean, it's cool. It's like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people think, because it's all about, does this make you happy? Do you enjoy it? And especially the fact that you're using it, you know, for what it's made for, which is awesome. But you know, overall, Cam, it's a very beautiful car, and I love what you've done to it. But
thank you.
Other than that, let's go and take the car for a drive and see how it feels.
So setting off in the GTI, and right off the bat, you can just tell how smooth this car is. It's a really nice, comfortable car, because at the end of the day, it's still a Volkswagen that's, you know, it's a Golf. It's a hatchback 4-door car. It has all the room you need. It has a back seat.
they've been using these seats for years. They're called tartan cloth. It's a certain pattern of plaid, and just plaid seats has sort of became synonymous with GTI. Although you don't have to get plaid seats, you can get black leather, which
But that's like
exactly leather in a
leather
GTI.
is so much
No.
cooler. I mean, not leather. The plaid is so much
It
cooler.
is.
Like, don't you have to actually pay more for the leather?
So you do have to pay more for the leather. The S comes only with cloth. Now the SE and Autobahn leather is optional, I believe.
Heritage behind having plaid seats, like that's something you just
Exactly.
you don't get that with a lot of cars. So having the heritage there is awesome.
I think the Volvo V60, like the base one, had city weave plaid seats, and then of course Porsche offers them in their vehicles. But I can't think of any other automaker right now that sells a car with plaid seats. You know, if any of you know, comment please. But I think that's the only automakers. Comfortable seats. I drive this car for quite a long time, sometimes on road trips, and never uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, I mean, right off the bat, it's very comfortable. And if you want, let's try maybe like a third gear pull here. See how the car feels. So.
You drive it.
Ooh, that boost kicks in, and it goes, and then it shifts fast. Okay, so now it says driving mode sport. Does that stiffen the suspension at all, or the steering at all?
Yes.
Okay, I noticed that right off the bat, how much stiffer it became. And does it do anything to the transmission?
So in automatic mode, yes. In manual, not really, because you're still shifting your own gears.
Gotcha. And you have a TCU tune, right?
Yes.
Oh, and you can hear the blow-off valve. Oh, that sounds so good. You know, it's a very nice, muted, but refined sound. So this is a bone stock exhaust, right?
Yes, so the exhaust is stock, and you know, as some people, including myself, I'm not a huge fan of sound actor. Basically what that is, it sends fake sound into the car to mimic the exhaust.
Yeah.
Volkswagen was one of the first to do it, but now more automakers do it, so it's not as like unorthodox or weird. You know, it's okay. I don't hate it, but it is kind of inauthentic.
So does yours still have that?
Yes, you can turn it off in settings.
Okay. Let's go ahead and try a pull from first gear and see how it feels.
Alright.
That thing goes. I mean, being front wheel drive, it does spin, but definitely has power to it. How do you feel, Cam?
That's pretty crazy.
Does it feel a lot faster than previously?
Yes, a lot more wheel spin. Like, granted, it used to have a decent amount of wheel spin with launch control. That's why I never use it much, because there's just no point.
Ooh. Traction control kicked in there. That's really weird because I have it off, but I guess there might be a way to get it
with
fully
modern
off.
cars, I don't know if there is a way.
So do you think with the TCU tune, does it make the shifts faster at all?
A little faster, nothing crazy though. I mainly did it, not necessarily because I thought it was going to make a huge difference, just because by doing that, it adjusts the transmission for having 320 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the transmission stock, you know, is set to handle more than that, but I don't know if the transmission, you know, the computer is able to do that in stock, or supposed to. I think the Mark IV was generally the unreliable GTI. The Mark V came along and I think sort of turned the GTI into what it is today.
For sure.
The Mark V was a new trajectory, and since then, I mean, growing up, I liked GTIs, but I legitimately could not tell the difference between a Mark V, Mark VI, Mark VII, until I really got into them.
Okay.
Because they look that much alike.
Well, so, you know, kind of piggybacking off of the looks, it's quite interesting because, like, I'll be honest, I feel like, you know, if this is the type of car you want, that's very subtle, it looks good, you know, don't get me wrong, but it's just a little bit bland. Like,
It is a little
doesn't
bland.
have much going on.
But That's what I love about it. Volkswagen is not known for, you know, crazy designs or anything. They know it works, and
I mean, they look good, but
they look good, but they're not the most interesting. The interior is not the most interesting on the block, but it feels good and it's solid.
Everything in here really like makes sense. You know, everything that's located where it is.
Slightly driver-centric infotainment and
Yeah,
climate
it is slightly
control.
angled towards the driver, which is interesting.
Which is odd, because I was in one of my good friends' Honda Civic yesterday, plain Honda Civic, and it is the most driver-centric
I mean, those
cockpit
Hondas,
I've ever been in.
Yeah, they do that. But, you know, it's just a really fun car, and let's go ahead and try and launch it from first gear here.
All right,
so we're going to come to a stop. So does this thing have launch control?
So it does. You did it earlier.
Yeah, but does it have like an actual launch control? That's like
No, that's literally, it said launch control active. So brake,
okay.
rev it to 3,200.
You know what? It's a smooth acceleration. So it was spinning through first gear. I actually had to bang it off the rev limiter there a little bit.
Nikolai did something a little different than what I usually do.
Okay.
He launched it in manual. I always launch it in automatic.
So now let's go ahead and try that acceleration. Same launch, and we'll do launch control with it, but we'll try it in auto mode, because what I did was I would actually rev it out to first gear. But with this one, we'll see what auto does and see how it
trust
does.
the transmission. Let's see what it does.
Because it is a DSG, like it's very smart, so.
Not much different.
Not much different. Whoa. It feels faster. It may be because I'm not the one doing it, but
Yeah.
that's interesting.
You can trust the transmission in this thing. Like, it's, you know,
It knows what it's doing.
it does.
That's
Except it knows what it's doing, unless it's the most simple thing driving around the parking lot. Then it's like lost.
Really, it doesn't know what to do?
It's very jerky, and it's like it fumbles between second, third gear. I think personally, in a parking lot, second to third gear is a comfortable spot. First gear is just too low. I don't like driving this car in first gear.
I mean, it's still like, this is sport mode. See, it revs it out very high.
It does.
It's about half throttle here.
I hardly ever use sport mode personally. It's not that great for you know, daily driving.
Yeah.
Because it does rev out so high, and it's 350 pound-feet of torque. You don't need to rev it out very high.
Oh, I love hearing the boost noises. And just getting on and off the throttle. It sounds so good. Now, the other thing is you might not be able to hear the boost noises through the camera, because they are very quiet, you know, with it being muted on the stock exhaust.
Like, I've been told to get like a blow-off valve, but I just haven't done it yet. And when someone asks me like, why don't you get an exhaust, I kind of fumble, you know, figure out a good reason.
Yeah.
Because I'm not completely against it. It's just, what good would that do for the car as far as, you know, performance? And like, would it make a huge difference besides just the sound?
So you wouldn't actually feel much if you did just like a catback. What you would mostly feel is just more sound, obviously, you know, being an exhaust, so you'd feel more of everything. So it'll probably feel faster just because it's louder, and that's really what the exhaust does. Because with it being a muted sound, you don't really hear anything, so you don't feel as much. But, you know, with an exhaust, it'll definitely open it up, I think. But, you know, even as is, I think it's totally fine. Just overall, I really do love the Golf. You know, it does everything you need it to do.
It does.
It's like you said, it doesn't really, it's not, maybe not the best at one thing, but it's definitely great at a lot of things. Daily driving, you have your back seats, you have your front seats are very comfortable. You know, the plaid seats, very nice. I love them. A wide open interior that's also somewhat driver focused onto you. It sure is nice to have it, and I definitely do enjoy it. But, you know, just like I said, overall, a great car, and I would highly recommend this to those people who want like a more subtle, muted car that's still fun to drive, and it doesn't feel like it's slow at all. It still has, you know, characteristics of a new car that you would want that were fun, but it doesn't feel like a Camry where it's very loose. It has no spirit to it. This thing definitely still has a spirit, and I really do like it. But overall, if you guys enjoyed the video and want to see many more just like it, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because we're going to have a whole lot more of cool cars on the channel. See you in the next one.